the consciousness and the cosmos, a path to one's own inner cosmos, in assistance of a more profound understanding of the current planetary transition, a stimuli that accompany the pilgrim in his return to his cosmic home. The Consciousness and the Cosmos, podcast of Uksim Planetary Service Centre. Welcome back, dear listeners. My name is Arwinak. Today we will explore a selection of thought-provoking excerpts from Daniel Gagliardo's insightful talks, focusing on the profound theme of transcending karma. Understanding the proper and improper exercise of free will is crucial because it profoundly affects our emotional and physical well-being and ultimately shapes our personality by recognizing how we wield our choices. Daniel Gagliardo answers. The process demonstrates a single evolutionary law, which consists of various sides, but fundamentally remains one. When we engage in any task, we must do so in alignment with this cosmic law, clearly illustrating our intentions. One of the most significant indicators of our understanding from a cosmic perspective is the renunciation of free will. Free will is a temporary power and an experience that both the ego and personality must engage with a particular stage of life. However, just as we move through this stage of free will, we must also learn to let go of it and transcend to another stage. For this reason, everything in evolution is transitory. At one stage, it is absolutely necessary to engage in compulsive, obsessive free will, meaning we make choices compulsively and obsessively. However, at another stage, we must learn to overcome that compulsiveness and obsession by attuning to the energy of our own inner consciousness, which at certain levels of evolution will be providing us with stimuli. What for? So that we can register them, deepen them, obey them, and persist in carrying them out. Gradually, as we do this work of registration, deepening, obedience, and persistence, the scale of values and priorities changes, and the place of free will shifts. Because when the ego and the personality mature sufficiently, free will loses its space and place, which is the illusion, the fantasy that the ego has regarding the importance of its desire and of selfish and personal goals. As we are doing that, as long as it begins to purify itself and the inner influence becomes more conscious, what is more interesting, as the importance of what we are registering, because it does not have the same value as a stimuli from our soul, which comes to the assistance of what we should do in matter, to deepen it, to register it, to obey it, and to persist in that which our inner life is offering. It doesn't have the same evolutionary importance as something that comes from the inner life, and that we have to recognize and carry out, as something that comes from the relationship with the world of the desires, of the form, with the formal material world, the material forces. But still, for many people, this is more important than other things. Daniel Gagliardo continues, "What you are doing is continuing to play at the same casino, at the same roulette table, even though it has shown you time and time again that it never pays off. The game of materialism may seem to offer some temporary gains, but the more you get caught up in it, the worse off you will be." Typically, the ego resists this realization. Consider how many people struggle with the ego's compulsiveness and their personality, driven by the satisfaction of desires and by the search of guarantees and comfort that the soul offers. The two cannot coexist. There is no overlap between them. To follow my inner life, I must set aside my compulsiveness, my desires for material satisfaction, and the influence they have on my relationship with the physical world. So we could say that this is that the emotional body exhausts the physical body, make one totally weak physically and ill as well. Daniel Gagliardo says, of course it does, because the physical body has an archetype to follow. We are not talking about the form in this case, but about the archetype in terms of work, of occupation. What would the physical body really have to be occupied with? To consummate higher desires and higher thoughts? When the physical body is constantly drawn to the toxic crosswords of seeking comfort, satisfying desires, and pursuing activities unrelated to altruism and solidarity, it becomes terribly ill. That makes it ill. And we are not talking about a particular illnesses, but about a general indisposition already implanted and not yet perceived. Because what we perceive are the illnesses, but the human body is suffering from a condition of toxicity, precisely because It is not brought into daily activity, continuously functioning to attend to higher, altruistic, and solidarity goals. The physical body is put to work in any brutality. When I say put to work, I mean that we put it to do things of any kind in reality have nothing to do with what in this universe is understood as needs. When individuals do not understand their needs, they put their bodies to work on pseudo-needs that end up intoxicating them. Then the physical body, the last link of the personality in the material terms, is put to hard labor, to life imprisonment, to the prison labor in the prison of materialism. That intoxicates it, unbalances it. People who begin to place their personality at the service of the evolutionary plan, who make their psychophysical consciousness active in function of a broad, universal, cosmic, altruistic, united needs, begin to see how the whole personality begins to purify itself, because it is no longer at the exclusive surface of the chaotic forces, of the dissuasive forces, of the involutionary forces. Disease are a cure. It is the first stage. Only humanity calls the first stage of curing disease. We would have to call everything a disease, even the other stage where the disease is apparently being cured, that is, there is no reason, from a philosophical or spiritual point of view, to consider disease as something alien to the cure. When a being starts to purge something, the healing energy they experience often manifests as illnesses, trauma, and accidents. However, this is actually the energy of healing that is activating the process of purification. The first things that emerge during this process are often labeled as illnesses. In reality, these manifestations are the healing energy mobilizing the purifying aspect that aligns with it. What we are observing is that the cure begins by removing what's not necessary, then clean the rubbish in the initial stage. During this time, we notice that what was not necessary, we can see and feel its presence. Once the rubbish, hypothetically speaking, is cleared from our path, we are preparing it for the garbage collector, to take it out, to take it away from us. We refer to this next stage as the cure, and at no point it is anything other than a cure. From the moment it is externalized until we can confidently say, I'm cured or I'm healed. Daniel Gagliardo continues, it is the same process because everything is transitory. The first stage of the cure, which is called also illness, is classified differently. It is the most noticeable, the one that makes us doubt whatever we will be. The cure always suggests you are capable of handling it, reassuring you that you can deal with it. Your aid, the problem would be if the cure did not come to our aid, even in that first stage. What we call illness, the problem would be if the cure did not come to our aid and start the whole process of sweeping out that which has to be purified, that is to say, that which is useless in our life.